Good afternoon and welcome to the regular meeting of the City of Glendale Commission on the Status of Women. Our meetings are open to the public and can be viewed on local cable channel, Charter Cable Channel 6 and AT&T UVerse Channel 99. The meeting can also be viewed online at www.glendaleca.gov by scrolling all the way to the bottom of the page and selecting Live Streaming, which is the third icon from the left. Members of the public are welcome to provide public comments and questions in person or can call in during the meeting at 818-937-8100. City staff will submit these questions and comments in real time to the appropriate person during the Commission on the Status of Women meeting. May I have roll call, please?
Yes. Commissioners Bruselian,
Here.
Hojayan,
Here.
Tatians,
Present.
Chair Lamblot,
Yes, here.
ex officio Vanisian,
Here.
ex officio Veselinov.
Here.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next is my report. The agenda for the May 13, 2024 regular meeting of the Commission on the Status of Women was posted on May 9th, 2024 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Next item, please.
Next are introductions and presentations. And today we have the Armenian Relief Society chairperson of the Western Regional Executive Board, Vicky Marashlian, with us. And she will be giving a short presentation on the Armenian Relief Society. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting us today. I'm happy to be here and to talk about our ARS project. So I am Vicky Marashlian. I do represent Armenian Relief Society of Western Region of USA. And I will try to represent our programs and projects. We do have huge projects and programs going on, but I will try to make it as short as possible. So I will start with our mission, which is, if we can go back. So the mission of our organization, I have to say that our organization is a women's organization. The mission of the organization is to aid in the social services, educational, health, and welfare of the community, to encourage and advocate human rights and social change in civil society as a non-governmental organization, and encourage members' involvement in public service, to promote the education and perpetuation of Armenian culture to children, youth, and members, to encourage high ethical standards and foster the spirit of good fellowship among Armenian Relief Society members, chapters, and community. And to also make special appropriations for food, medicine, and clothing in the event of war, epidemics, or natural disasters, and to aid the disabled and the ill. So I will talk about our local programs. So we do, in our region, in the Western region, we have 23 chapters with over 1,100 volunteer members. Each chapter, which is located in different cities, govern their own chapters under their executive board. And also we do collaboration. Each chapter does collaboration with their own community organizations, hospitals, and faith-based groups. So we do have 12 one-day schools with 500 students enrolled in various communities. We provide Armenian language, history, culture, and traditions. We also give scholarship to outstanding high school students, Armenian students, and we also have an award ceremony where we appreciate these young and students with high education. We also give scholarship to university students in colleges. Our regional committees, we focus on education, fundraising, governance, public relations, membership, recruitment, and more, furthers the programs, work, and activities of ARS Regional Executive Board. So in our regional board, besides our regional board's programs and projects, we do have an ARS social service, which is located in the heart of Glendale on Glen Oaks Boulevard. So we serve our community in many ways. We do serve, it's a 16-member staff we have at the social service office, and we do serve our community in many ways. One of many of the services that we offer is, can we go back?
My apologies, we're having an issue, technical issue, so.
Sorry.
This is the regional committee?
Yes, no, the social service. Okay, so with the social service, we do have employment services. We have ESL classes for seniors where we teach Armenian language to the elderly, those who don't speak the English language. Just we want to teach them the English language so they can assimilate in our community. We do serve the disabled adults, senior services, homeless prevention, and rapid housing. We do have refugee youth mentoring programs, and we do have assistance with telecommunication and utility issues, and we also have food pantry where underprivileged families come and go to the pantry and get food as needed. We also have ARS Child and Youth Family Guidance Center, where we have where we provide counseling services to community members of all ages. We address anxiety, depression, grief, marital family conflict, accumulation, and cross-generational conflict to families and also adults who need those services. I do want to mention that we do collaborate with our community organizations. We do collaborate with our city, especially City of Glendale. We collaborate with many organizations, like in the homeless projects that we have. We collaborate with Ascensia, where they serve the community of the homeless people in the community. So we have been working very closely with them and many other organizations. I do want to mention that we are an international organization. ARS Western Region is only a small part of this international Pan-Armenian organization. We do have 13,000 members around the world, and we have chapters in 27 countries with 227 chapters. So we are, as mentioned, a volunteer-based women's organization, and we were established in 1910. So we have been existing for 113 years, and we are ready to serve our communities as long as we can. Women's power, we are all together, and we will continue our service. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments or questions? Please.
I'm interested in how you're funding the 16-member staff for the social service office. Is this all fundraising?
Yes,
or do
they
you
are
get?
almost 90% funded by grants. We do receive grants from the county, city, and also federal grants.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Mrs. Marashilian, for this broad information. It was informative information that you presented to us today. If you may, I can add a little bit some information. Okay, as she said, I would like to add that Armenian Relief Society is a transparent organization.
Yes.
As she mentioned that we serve at 27 countries and with 13,000 of members. As she mentioned, she's a volunteer job. It's a blessing what we do to our community, especially social services done a lot work COVID time. We collaborated with many organizations. I would like to say, really, it's a blessing when you help your community and family in needs. God bless you all. Thank you for presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I found it truly inspirational. Thank you for all the information that you provided. I know you made a couple comments about high school students. How can we get this information across to our high school students, especially young girls like Angelina
You
and I,
and-
to come and help and volunteer?
Well, usually our chapters, the local chapters in every city, they contact the school counselors. Let's say in Glendale or in Burbank, usually they, contact the council of the counselors of the school, and they give us a list of the students who qualify to get the scholarships. So our contact is the high school counselors.
Thank you so much.
And we do give, each student gets $500 for scholarship. For the college scholarships, we give almost $2,000 for each student. So,
I wanted to actually say a personal thing. I received a scholarship from you when I went to law school, and it was really helpful for me at the time.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
Yeah, I personally received the scholarship, and I found their information on your website.
oh, that's wonderful.
And that was
Yes.
over 20 years ago, so.
Yes, yes. So I do want to add that we do have a website, ARS Western Region website. You can, go to our website and we have all the information about the scholarships and all the programs that we have.
I would like to add, next year, we are going to celebrate 113
Yes,
years of
130
organization.
115 years.
15 years of organization.
15 years of our organization.
Organization.
Yes.
Can I say something else? I am
Sure.
member when I was very young. I joined the organization. Now I'm very happy and honored to be part of this organization. Thank you.
Well, if I had more time, I would talk and not stop, but unfortunately, I have only 5 minutes.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do for the community. I know you're very well-known and highly respected organization.
Thank you so much.
Did you have a comment?
Hi, I have a question. Thank you
Oh,
for being
sorry,
here.
I keep on going back to my seat.
How do people donate, for food and things like that? Is the public allowed to do that? Or are you?
Of course,
Okay.
of course, we accept any
And
donations.
are they walk-in donations? or
Yes, our
okay.
center do accept donations.
And is there certain criteria of donations? Or where do we look it up?
Mostly we accept canned foods or, cherish foods that, don't expire.
Right.
But we are located on 517 West Glen Oaks Boulevard. We are right on the corner of Pacific and Glen Oaks. You can see the big building. It says Armenian Relief Society. You can just walk in anytime. Our doors are open. Our doors are open to people that want to donate. Our doors are open for any services they need. We get homelesses on a daily basis. They just walk in the building. Sometimes they hear about the building, or they just walk. They see the sign and they just walk in. So we are open to the public. We are open to do any services that our community needs.
And do you only accept food donations, or do you
No,
accept
we
other
accept
types of
any
donations?
kind of donation, yes.
Okay.
I mean, we do get grants for the ARS Social Service Office, but at the same time, our donors are the ones that sponsor our programs and projects. So we are open to receive any kind of donation. You can visit our website. Also, we have postings on our social media almost every day, because we have activities, so many activities every day. So you can just see us on, you can visit our website.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any more questions before I go back?
You are free to walk away now.
Thank you. It was my
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Next item, please.
Next item is oral communications. We do not have any cards or callers.
Okay, then the next item, please.
The following items are consent items, and the only item on consent is the approval of minutes of the regular commission meeting held on February 12th, 2024.
Okay. Any comments or questions or changes to the minutes? Having none, do we need a motion then to approve the minutes?
I'll second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Hojayan,
Yes.
Tatiana,
Yes.
Chair Lambolat.
Yes. Thank you. Next item, please.
Next are action items. The first action item is request for proclamation, action item A, request for proclamation from the Glendale City Council that designating June 2024 as Pride Month. One motion requesting a proclamation from Glendale City Council designating June 2024 as Pride Month. And I would like to turn the mic to Dr. Arman to give the staff report.
Could I just make a comment? I just wanted to let Vicki know you are not obligated to stay unless you want to. You're welcome to, but please don't feel like you have to. Okay.
I'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, City Clerk Abadjian. Staff respectfully recommends that the Commission on the Status of Women provide direction on requesting a proclamation from the Glendale City Council designating June 2024 as Pride Month. To promote awareness and education to the community regarding the celebration and commemoration of LGBTQIA+ Pride Month, CSW may request a proclamation from Glendale City Council. The chair of the commission may receive the proclamation on behalf of CSW together with other community organizations. In addition to the proclamation, the commission may recommend lighting up the Glendale City Hall with pride colors throughout the month of June. Should the commission provide direction to request this proclamation, staff recommends that the proclamation be received during the June 4th, 2024 Glendale City Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Arman. Any questions or comments? I did want to say we did this proclamation last year, and we did also request that City Hall be bathed in the pride colors. Yes, okay. Any comments or questions? Discussion? Motions?
I'm excited that the city did that last year and will continue to do so to show our support for LGBTQIA+ community, so. Oh. As I was saying, I'm excited that our city's participating and supporting the LGBTQIA+ community. And if there are no other discussions, I would move do I need to make a motion?
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that
I-
alternative one?
Alternative one, yes. The requesting the proclamation and also lighting the city hall with the colors.
I second it.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Hojayan,
Yes.
Tatiana,
Yes.
Chair Lambolat.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is action item B, request for proclamation from the Glendale City Council designating August 26, 2024 as Women's Equality Day. And again, one motion requesting a proclamation from Glendale City Council designating August 26, 2024 as Women's Equality Day. And I will again turn to Dr. Arman for the staff report.
Thank you, City Clerk Abadjian. Staff respectfully recommends that the Commission on the Status of Women provide direction on requesting a proclamation from the Glendale City Council designating August 26, 2024 as Women's Equality Day. To promote awareness and education to the community regarding the celebration and commemoration of Women's Equality Day, CSW may request a proclamation from Glendale City Council. Chair of the Commission may receive the proclamation on behalf of CSW together with other community organizations. In addition to the proclamation, the Commission may recommend sponsorship or co-sponsorship of related events and celebrations. Should the Commission provide direction to request this proclamation, staff recommends that the proclamation be received during the second meeting of the Glendale City Council during the month of August 2024. And I want to note, we said the second meeting because that is currently not scheduled, but we will make sure to let you know of that date.
In other words, we don't have a date
The
yet.
exact date, correct.
Okay, great. Thank you, Dr. Arman. Any discussion, questions, comments?
I had a question whether the city will have any other activities surrounding that day. Do you know if anything else is happening around the city?
So as of now, we are not aware of any events that are currently planned. We also are not currently aware of any community organization events. However, this is in August, so we can monitor to make sure if there is something that we let you all know.
Okay. No discussion, no comments, then is there a motion as to one of the alternatives?
I motion to approve all the alternatives, or the first alternative,
Which is,
to approve requesting a proclamation from the city designating August 26th. But you said there's no date?
the date of the accepting of the proclamation.
Oh, the
before
date of the
city.
accepting. Okay, I apologize.
Oh, no
Okay,
problem.
Thank you. Yeah, August 26th, 2024 as Women's Equality Day.
Is there a second?
Yes, I second.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Hojayan,
Yes.
Tatians,
Yes.
Chair Lambalat.
Yes. Next item, please.
Next item is action item C, legislative update. One motion providing direction on state legislation. And today we have with us Kira Ross, who will give the presentation on the legislative update. And
Well-
so I will turn to Kira, and let me just move the screen right here so everyone can see.
Welcome, Kira. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. Good evening. Good to see you all again. We're back in session. We are in the second year of the legislative session, which will end on August 31st. And we are in sort of at the almost to the midpoint throughout this legislative year. Bills are largely now in the fiscal committee or the appropriations committee. They have been heard by the initial legislative policy committees, and they will be going quickly to the floor to be heard after if they can get out of the appropriations committee. So I think we have, I don't know if I have my count right at this point. I think we have about 9 or 10 bills to look at today. And Susie, you'll have to let me know, is the easiest way to take them individually, a motion on one, or do you want to do one motion and talk about them with questions, or how would you like to proceed?
It's up to the commissioners.
Does anybody have a preference?
Well, I'd like to hear them one by one
Okay.
and go from there, maybe.
And then make a motion after each one, whether we want to support it or not?
Yes.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll start with the first one, AB 2295 by Assemblymember Addis.
I think
This
we've
one,
lost your screen here.
There we go.
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So the first one is AB 2295 by Assemblymember Addis. This bill removes the statute of limitations for criminal cases involving sexual abuse where the victim was a minor at the time of the offense. So effectively, this bill would allow, in cases where someone wants to, cases where they want to prosecute long after the current statute of limitations, this would allow them to go back if the victim was a minor at the time of the offense.
And just to review, Dr. Abajian, if the commission votes to support this bill, then that support is communicated to the city council. And if the city council votes to support it, then a letter will be sent to the author of the bill. Is that correct?
A letter would be sent to the state legislature as well as the governor.
Okay, great. Any questions about that before
Yeah.
we proceed? Okay, great. Thank you. Any comments or questions for Kira or discussion?
Kira, do you know what the current statute of limitations is?
Yep, it's 10 years after the commission of the offense.
Even if the child is a minor or after they become an adult?
I believe it's after they become an adult. or circumstances commenced by the victim's 40th birthday. I believe it's 10, I know the statute of limitations is 10 years. It may be even if they're a minor though.
Okay, thank you.
So if they were 5 years old at the time, and 10 years goes by, they're 15, they can't, after, if this extends, they can, you know, come back at any time after that.
That's correct.
And there's no limit. So they can be 75 years old and still, I'm just exaggerating a little bit, but I want to be clear.
That's my understanding.
And this is for the victim, not for the criminal.
This is for the victim.
Okay, thank you.
Correct.
Any other questions or discussion or a motion? Does anyone want to make a motion to support or not support the bill?
It may just be helpful to go through the whole thing, and then if there's consensus on all of them, then you could take it as a whole. But if there isn't, then you can maybe separate them
Okay.
and take the grouping as one where there is consensus, and then vote on the one when there isn't.
Okay, then we'll go back to that. Okay, great. Okay,
Okay, so the second bill is AB 2319. And this is the California Dignity in Pregnancy and Childbirth Act, and it requires all personnel who are regularly assigned to positions where they interact with perinatal patients to receive implicit bias training. The bill is sponsored by the State Attorney General's Office and supported by the California Commission on the Status of Women and Girls. This would require, this is not just doctors or nurses, but other folks that are in a medical office or in the medical setting that are going to come in contact, and it's designed to really create training so that if there are any cultural things that people need to be aware of and be sure to be helpful with, then it's going to teach them about that kind of information. The one note I will say is this bill, like a lot of others, is on the suspense file. It has very high costs, so there's a pretty good chance that this bill could get held this week and not move forward this year. But they'd probably try to bring it back next year. So it's I think it's a fairly good bill.
Have there been issues with implicit bias for this to come up?
According to the author, there have. They have talked about implicit bias happening as it applies to women of different cultures. I think especially African-American women and Middle Eastern, just African-American women is the one that they've talked about in this particular case, where they've said that there are medical employees that have had implicit bias, and so they would like to have that changed.
And how often would the training be proposed for?
I need to look for that. I don't know off the top of my head. I think it would probably be, I'd have to look that up. Apologies, I can look for that as we're going.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I think it says a refresher course every 2 years.
Thank you very much.
any other comments, questions, or discussion before we move to the next bill?
How much do you think it's going to cost? When you say it's a high cost, is there an approximate amount that they're looking at?
There is, yeah, the fiscal evaluation on it is saying that it will cost about $5.4 million in the first fiscal year, 25-26, $6.1 million in 26-27, and about $5.5 million ongoing to implement the bill. The thing to understand this year, because of our very significant budget problem with our deficit, bills that have over about $1 million in cost overall to the state are going to have to get that cost below $1 million. So on a bill like this, they'll have a couple of options. They can try to put the policy in place and say it would only go into effect contingent upon getting an appropriation out of the state budget. And that's something that would be a year-to-year program where each year, if they have the funds, they could run the training. Otherwise, they will not be able to do it. Otherwise, they're going to have to scale back the funding in the bill or hold it. So when you have that much cost, when you're talking about a $15 to $20 million implementation with a $5 million ongoing, it's going to be pretty high in a year like this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Are there
Kara.
other questions on the bill? Okay, AB 2339. This is by Assemblymember Aguirre Curry. It's dealing with Medi-Cal and telehealth, and it extends telehealth for reproductive health care to Medi-Cal patients. So today, they don't have that option for Medi-Cal patients, and this would expand the ability for Medi-Cal patients to be served in the healthcare setting through telehealth and have that covered as covered as a healthcare service. Interestingly, just of note on this bill, the only opposition is the California Nurses Association, and my understanding is that that is related to the concern that they may lose jobs or bodies, that they may not be labor positions in medical telehealth. Are there any questions on that bill?
Any questions? Susan?
What was the reason for this bill? In my opinion, for reproductive health care, you need to be seen in person to have a good stance on what your condition is, whether it's pregnancy or just, well care. What was the reason for this to come up? Do you know what the background was?
Yeah, the author's argument is, or what she explained, is that in many cases, you're dealing with very low-income individuals who don't have the ability to take time off work, or they may not have the ability to get to the doctor's office, and I think they do really want them to get in to be seen. But if there's an option that they can at least have telehealth versus not going at all, they want to offer this option to these folks.
Thank you.
It seems to me if there was any group that would need telehealth appointments, it would be this group. It's really surprising that that option isn't available currently, to me anyway.
Yeah, it actually is surprising. I think it probably was, may have been cost or other issues, but this is a particularly a group that historically probably has not had great percentage or numbers in terms of going to making the appointments and getting the medical care that they need.
Okay, on to the next bill.
On to the next bill. AB 2467, this is on healthcare coverage for menopause. There's been a number of hearings and a push by a number of the members of the legislature to have healthcare insurance companies cover menopause and menopause-related services. So this, for the first time, would require insurance companies in California to include coverage for treatment of perimenopause and menopause. It's on suspense, doesn't have very high costs. And what it would cover is, it has a whole list of different services, but antidepressants, anticonvulsants, estrogen, and different types of hormones, and typical topical hormone therapy, as well as bioidentical hormones. And I will note that there was some opposition by the insurance companies, and that was not related to their not wanting to do the coverage. It was related to that within the world of bioidentical hormones, some are not fully FDA approved, and they didn't want the non-FDA approved ones to be covered. And so that's going to be removed from the bill. So it will only be the bioidentical hormones that are covered by the FDA, but otherwise the bill has gotten quite a bit of support. And so it's sort of a new emerging issue in the legislature.
The aging population, I assume. Yes.
So all the 50-year-old women in the legislature.
And that too.
I would like to know how much will be cost this?
The cost
much
of
is
this one is actually not going to be that high. The cost for the insurance companies probably will be significant. But for the state itself, it's only a couple $100,000, but it really is just in amending the insurance requirements for the insurance companies to include menopause and perimenopause in policies. The cost to insurance providers is going to be probably more significant, and they will probably make an argument that the cost will be passed on to other insurance policies.
Okay. Yes, Susan, please, yes.
Sorry. So if I have issues right now, doesn't my insurance policy or a regular insurance policy take care of menopause or perimenopause care? I mean, if I call my doctor and I say, hey, I'm having a lot of hot flashes or I'm feeling anxiety and they know it's part of perimenopause or menopause, wouldn't that be automatically covered already?
Not necessarily. Some will, and some hormone therapies will, but not the entire breadth. And it really varies insurance company to insurance company what's covered.
So this is for only FDA-approved topicals and other oral
This
hormones?
would cover this is everything that is FDA approved. So the only area where I understood that there were sort of some questions is some of the bioidentical hormones. Most are covered, but there's a category of them that are not fully approved by the FDA. And what the insurance companies were asking for is that they only wanted to be required to cover drugs and hormones that are fully approved by the FDA.
Thank you.
Okay, so AB 2476, this one is, deals with, so let me just, 2476, it guarantees payment at the start of the month for childcare services that are subsidized, but what are called CAP vouchers, or California Alternative Payment Vouchers. California, so for the childcare services where they get vouchers for low-income families, today they have two kinds of payment systems that are in there, and most childcare providers turn in their invoices essentially to the state, and they don't get paid until late in the month, usually about 20 to 25 days into the month. So for that duration of the beginning of the month till about the 25th, they have to cover all the costs. And this is an industry where these childcare providers are usually running on very, very low amounts of money in terms of what they sort of have its cash flow month to month. So this would move that payment from, 25th, 20th of the month up to the beginning of the month and allow them to be paid sooner, which theoretically could really help them cover costs and potentially take on more clients, especially for families that are, can need the vouchers in order to get by.
Any questions or discussion?
May I?
Yes.
Can you give us an example of the childcare service providers?
So these could be any childcare service provider. It could be a childcare center, but in particular, these childcare service providers will take the state vouchers that the state provides for low-income families, certain amount of money, a voucher that's worth a certain percentage of their cost of childcare every month. And so when the provider, and it could be a daycare center, it could be an individual provider, when they get that voucher, they've got to turn in their expenses to the state, and the state will reimburse them. But what happens is when they turn that in, they don't get paid for a month. So they've got to cover that cost for the course of the month. So if you're doing mostly voucher payments, you get no money until the end of the month. So the idea is push that payment up to the beginning of the month as opposed to the end. It helps the child care providers make sure that they stay in business and they don't end up having to close down because they can't afford that gap in funding.
Right. And what's the cost involved in this? Is there one?
Yes. Let's see. Let me just look at the analysis. Pull the. Oh, you know what? I don't have the cost yet because it's will be in appropriations this Wednesday. So I suspect it'll be pretty significant. Well, it may not be that significant because we're moving the date of the money. Not so much. It's not new cost. It's going to be probably low range, but I would anticipate this bill would get out of appropriations committee because it won't be too high.
Thank you.
Huh?
Just clarification, you said until they receive, the parents will pay until they get the money back?
No, not the parents, but the child care provider they wouldn't get paid until the end of the month. And so if they get a voucher, so maybe a parent that's not using a voucher would pay at the beginning of the month for the services. In this case, instead of getting actual payment like a check or what have you from the parents, they get a voucher that the state has given to the family to cover their cost of childcare because the family is low income. And so instead of cash, the child care provider then has to submit that voucher to the state, and the state will reimburse them for their costs. But there's a period of time of about 25 days that for child care providers, they have to cover, they don't get paid. So this just says that instead of getting paid at the end of the month, we're going to push it up so that you get paid at the beginning of the month, and it's faster and easier for them to get the money, turn in their voucher and get money back from the state.
Okay, thank you.
So AB 2515, this should be a fairly simple one. This is very similar to a bill from last year, AB 246, that in both cases, the bills prohibit people or entities from manufacturing, selling, delivering, holding, or offering for sale any menstrual product that contains PFAS. And PFAS are a series of chemicals that are known to cause cancer. The state has a history of banning PFAS in a number of different products. And AB 246 last year, which you supported, was vetoed by the governor. And so the author made some very minor changes. They continue to ban the use of PFAS in these products. And in addition, they're going to authorize the Department of Toxic Substance Control to do some guidance and some other provisions that I think will, the thought of the authors that will help get the governor to sign the bill this year. This one does have very high costs, but it got through last year, so they may push it through.
Questions for Kira?
Yeah, can you repeat the change from the previous bill again, please?
Yeah, so both bills will ban the use of PFAS. So it would ban any person or entity from manufacturing, selling, delivering, holding, offering for sale menstrual products that contain PFAS. So that includes pads or tampons or anything in that category. Last year, the bill, I think, was, banned it as of 2027. This year, it's going to ban as of 2025. And then in addition to that, it also authorizes the State Department of Toxic Substance Control to adopt regulations or guidance as necessary for implementing, administering, and enforcing the prohibition of PFAS in menstrual products. And that guidance is, I think the governor wanted some narrowing and some additional guidance when he vetoed AB 246 last year. So the thinking is that with this new guidance, that will help get the bill passed and get signed by the governor.
Thank you.
Any additional questions on that one?
I think we can move on.
Okay, so AB 2763, this bill requires that a state agency, board, or commission that directly or by contact collects demographic data as to the ancestry or ethnic origin of Californians shall use separate collection categories for Middle Eastern and North African groups. This bill actually has already been supported by the city council, so we'd love to get your support as well, but we don't actually need your support on this because the council's already supported it. So I don't know if Susie, if you want to add in anything at this point, but or if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
On the Asali bill, was council voted to endorse the bill because it includes the Armenian count within the Middle Eastern North African count in California, and right now we do not have any way of collecting that data statewide across state agencies. So what this bill does is it mandates that the state collect information on Middle Eastern and North African groups, including Armenians. And I know that we have a large Armenian population in our city, so it impacts the women in our city. This is, again, this bill has already been approved by council, but it's great for the commission to approve it as well so that we can advocate and say that our Commission on the Status of Women stands behind this bill.
And I appreciate that this bill is before us because it was certainly an issue when we were working with Mount St. Mary's University on the report on the status of women. And the result was that we obviously had a second report on Glendale's Armenian women, but it was very clear and glaring that the census data as is just wasn't sufficient for being able to, show the picture of the Armenian population in Glendale, since it was subsumed under the Caucasian category. So even though, even though the city council has approved it, I think it's a salient subject for us. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Kira. Next bill?
Next bill is SB 233 by Senator Skinner. This bill establishes a temporary registration program until November 30th, 2024, under the Medical Board of California and the Osteopathic Medical Board of California, to allow for physicians licensed to practice in Arizona to perform abortions or provide abortion-related care in California to patients traveling from Arizona for that care. Just of note, this bill has an urgency clause, meaning it will go into effect once signed by the governor. It's also backed strongly by the governor. It's moving very quickly. So it flew off the assembly floor today. It is back in the Senate, has one more vote in the Senate, and it will go to the governor. It will likely be heard off the floor in a hearing later this week, and probably go to the governor either Thursday or early next week. So I anticipate that this will become law in the next 2 weeks. But this is in response to the Supreme Court case in Arizona.
Questions, comments?
I have a question. Can these physicians also see California patients, or they must be Arizona physicians who are only seeing Arizona patients?
I would imagine that they could see California patients because they will be given temporary licensing to be able to practice in California.
Anyone else?
Dr. Armin, would you like to add to that?
Sure. I just want to also provide context that part of the reason why this bill is before California is because when abortion was banned in Arizona, many people are traveling across state lines and actually putting that pressure on our healthcare system here. The only way when you are banned from reproductive health services in Arizona to get that is to travel to surrounding states. So we are one of those states.
And essentially, these physicians cannot practice medicine, or if that's the only service that they're providing in Arizona, right? Because it went into ban that they cannot do their job.
Yeah, so the state governor did pass a law that sort of restricts this in Arizona, but that doesn't kick in until November 30th, which is why you have this date in the bill, which has this temporary registration in California, or temporary services in California, until November 30th, when their law will be taken down.
Okay, and we have one more left.
Yep. So
Okay,
the last
I'm
one-
sorry. We have a
I
question.
have a quick question. Is there a limit to how many abortions per person during this temporary time? And do you have to give a reason for it, for the abortion?
I don't believe so, because what this does is it doesn't get into the actual procedure or what needs to happen. It just allows the doctor, this is just the technical, allowing them to work in California and have sort of be licensed to practice in California. So some of those other questions would be in a different context. This is really a fairly technical bill, actually.
Is there an age requirement, parental consent required for minors for this to happen, or is it just for adults?
Those would
Or
all be under California law. So it would be whatever is California law that would apply in that case, would be my understanding.
oh, okay, I don't know. Okay, does California law follow an age requirement, parental consent for abortions right now? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not familiar enough with the details of what California law, somebody else but may know far better than me.
And that's likely outside the scope of what this bill is trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, our last bill.
So SB 953 by Senator Menjivar deals with Medi-Cal and menstrual products, and the bill would require the Department of Healthcare Services to seek the necessary federal waiver to implement Medi-Cal coverage for menstrual products. This is similar to a bill that we looked at last year, also by Senator Menjivar, that would have provided $20 a month for people on Medi-Cal to cover the cost of menstrual products. So things like tampons and pads and other things. That bill, of course, was vetoed. So this is taking a slightly different approach. Instead of just trying to get $20 per person per month, this would require the state to seek necessary federal waivers to allow it to be included as a covered product under Medi-Cal. So it would be just, as opposed to a separate $20, it would be part of their overall payment that they get on a monthly basis from Medi-Cal. But very similar to a bill that we looked at last year that you supported.
Any questions, comments? Dr. Bajian?
If I may, if this is the end of the presentation, I just want to state that the CSW may make recommendations to City Council on specific legislative items for their consideration to take appropriate action when required in order to safeguard and/or advance interests of women and girls in Glendale. And these bills that were chosen and brought forward really were aligned to the legislative platform of the CSW and its priorities, including women in the workplace, women's health, women in the budget, women in military and military families, women in post-secondary education, and women's safety. So really, if we look at all of these bills, they are aligned with the legislative priorities of the commission, including, for instance, this child care services bill, the Bonta bill, which, you know, child care services, a lot of child care providers are women, and this impacts women's economic standing and well-being. And all of these bills, again, are aligned with the legislative platform of the commission.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions?
I'd like clarification one more time, and I'm sorry, for SB 233. It says temporary registration program until November 30th. And then you said, then it'll kick, what will kick in after that?
So in Arizona, there was so in Arizona, there is a Supreme Court case. That case one came down that bans abortions. The state governor, excuse me, the state legislature passed a bill similar to what we do. Governor signed it, and that would allow services to continue. But that bill doesn't kick in until November 30th. And so that's the key of the November 30th date. So between now and November 30th, this bill allows a licensed physician who currently practices in Arizona to temporarily have licensing in California to continue to provide, perform abortions or provide abortion-related care in California to patients traveling from Arizona for that care. So I think you asked the question earlier, could they provide service to Californians? And actually, I think the answer may be, I may have been wrong, it may be that they are only allowed to provide services to Arizona patients.
So this fills the gap between now and November 30th. That's why it expires on November 30th.
And it seems like it's only for Arizona residents because these services would be provided in Arizona, which right now is illegal until November. So they're coming here, the patients are coming here, and the physicians are able to provide the services in California.
And the cost goes to Arizona, or does it come to California? The cost?
No, this would be cost to California.
Cost to California. And I just feel like whatever we vote on this, it doesn't matter because you just said that it's moving pretty quickly to the governor's desk for signing like in the next day or two. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be signed in the next week or two.
A week or two.
So, you know, I mean, it depending on when this all goes to council, it may get signed into law, and that's okay. Sometimes it's about where, you know, the position you want to take is as much about voicing your opinion as a body as it is about whether the bill lives or dies. Because there may also be bills that you want to support that will die on suspense in the next week or two, or may not make it off the floor. So I wouldn't, that can happen to any of the bills in the process. And this is more of an exercise of showing what the body wants to do.
All right. And
Or it could be delayed, right? The governor may choose to delay his signing to sometime after.
Could, I would anticipate, yeah, I would be highly surprised if it gets very delayed because the governor, this is a big push for him on the national stage.
and what's the cost? Do you know the cost between now and November 30th to the Californians on this one?
It is minimal because it blew through Appropriations Committee. So I think they are considering the costs minimal. The costs are going to be costs of really the relicensing or the temporary licensing of these doctors. That's going to be the state cost. There probably are costs, obviously costs associated with practice, the actual procedure, but that's going to be covered by insurance companies and hospitals and existing funding that was already there for abortion care and related services in California.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so then we need a motion. I suppose we could, Ms. Varpetian, I suppose we could start with all and then go from there? Is that, okay. All righty. Is there a motion then on the table?
I would like to motion to approve all the bills as presented and recommend for council's support.
And then should we just do roll call? Or- Sorry.
Okay, I seconded.
Okay, so
You said all the bills, yeah.
any discussion at this point? So further discussion? Okay.
Yeah, I'll be, I'm not for approving all of them. AB 2319, I'm not really sure about. So I'll be abstaining from that one. And SB 233, I'll be abstaining from that one as well.
May I suggest that we amend the motion to exclude those two items, take a vote on the remainder, and then make a motion on those two items, and then, because otherwise I think you will be abstaining from the entire vote.
Okay.
And your intention is not to abstain.
do that, right.
Yeah. So if the maker of the motion would agree to remove from the original motion AB 2319 and SB 233.
That's fine. Do you want me to read which ones I motion to support, or we're just going to say we're removing those two?
We'll remove those two.
I have one more, I'm sorry. AB 2339 also, I'll be abstaining from.
Okay, so we'll remove those three from the motion, if that's okay?
That's fine.
And would the maker of the second agree to removing them?
You agree, Commissioner Kachayan?
Yes, I agree to remove that three.
Okay, and if there's no further discussion, we could take a roll call vote if you like. at
Any
this time.
further discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
Yes.
Hojayan,
Yes.
Tatian,
Yes.
Chair Lamblot.
Yes.
So now we're looking for a motion for the three that were pulled.
Again, do we have a motion for 2319, 2033, and 2339? Did I
Do
get
we
those
take them
numbers
one
right?
by one, or we do all of them at the same time?
You can do it all at the same time. You can motion.
I will motion all three of those also to be
Remove.
supported and to be recommended to the council's support.
Okay, any discussion
We
before we
need a
take?
second. Second.
Yes, I seconded
Okay,
these three of them.
Now discussion.
any discussion?
2,
At this
3,
point?
119, 2, 3.
Okay, then roll call, please.
Commissioners Bruselian,
No.
Hojayan,
Yes.
Tatian,
Yes.
Chair Lamblot.
Yes.
Motion
Okay,
passes.
Kira, thank you again for your your insights, your explanations, and for attending our meetings. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely, and we will, I will let you know at the next meeting what the status of all these is.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know,
Okay, next item, please.
Yes, next item is our reports information only. We have one item. Item A is update on women supporting women empowerment panel and networking night in honor of International Women's Day 2024. And Dr. Arman will give us a short report on the event.
Thank you, Dr. Bajan. Commissioners, this report is being provided as information only to you. I'm very excited to report back about our Women Supporting Women event. This was a panel and networking night that occurred in March. It was co-sponsored and co-organized with Glendale Arts, which is a local nonprofit dedicated to supporting the arts. And it was spearheaded here by our education ad hoc committee. So I want to thank again the commissioners who comprise that ad hoc. And also our student ex officio members, Natalie and Angelina, were instrumental in planning this event as well, alongside City Clerk staff and Glendale Arts staff members, Nina Crow and Maria Sahakian. It was at a wonderful space, ACE 121 Gallery, and on display during this time was Susan Arena's work, who explores themes around female empowerment, female forms, and female representation. Excitingly, we had a lot of wonderful diverse voices on this panel. Our panel was comprised of Councilmember Ellen Asatrian, CSW Vice Chair Sona Tatians, Betty Porto, Lisa Hirsch-Marin, Vicky Marashlian, Edith Fuentes, and CSW student ex officio Angelina Veselinov. I want to also note that many community members were able to attend the event, and at the start of it was a moment to gather and build community, learn about each other, and develop relationships, which we've consistently done in our last several events. The event then began with CSW Chair Diane Lambalot giving opening remarks, followed by City Clerk Dr. Abajian and Glendale Arts CEO Nina Crow. And then we had a moderated panel where panelists answered questions about their lives, how women shape their leadership, and their visions for women's equity and how women should support women. I also want to note somehow we got pouring rain again. Like the only day that week in Glendale, which normally was pretty sunny, and yet our room was beyond capacity yet again. To the point where we had to have people stand, unfortunately, because there were not enough chairs, but in a good way. The community came out in abundance. We also want to note that several attendees told CSW commissioners and also Office of the City Clerk staff that they felt that the event was a true success and they hope to see more of such events in the future. I also just want to thank everybody here who was not only there but helped organize the event, and all of our partners, including Glendale Arts, which it was really a wonderful space at the gallery itself.
Thank you, Dr. Arman. It was just an amazing event, and actually our second amazing event in 6 months. Not only the launch of the report on the status of women and girls, but this event. And thanks to the ad hoc committee who put it together. Thanks so much to our student ex officios. We are thrilled at your involvement in the commission, and we have some additional ideas for your involvement. And to the commissioners who attended, and of course, Dr. Bajian, city staff, et cetera. And I'd like to, in particular, just congratulate Dr. Arman on an amazing job in handling the panel and the questioning, because that is not an easy thing to do. And you just were extremely skillful at it, and it was not only informative, but entertaining, and it flowed so well. And I think that's one reason it resonated so well with the attendees.
I wanted to add that the women who attended were from different backgrounds. spoke different languages. We had very young women, we had middle-aged women, we had older women, and they all had a great time. And I just love that we were able to bridge the gap between language, culture, and everyone just really got something out of it. So it was wonderful. Thank you.
I would like to thank you, Dr. Abajian and Dr. Armin. With the smile, as you said, she done a great job, both of you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was there at the event as well, and having your father be there was heartwarming. And learning about all these different women and their backgrounds and how they got where they are, and you know, they triumphed, and that was very inspirational. And you did a great job again, and thank you, Dr. Abajian.
Thank you.
Yes, and I think I do want to again point out that the city clerk's office and Dr. Vajian has led this commission in so many ways, guided us, and provided opportunities for us to hold these events, and certainly with the help of Dr. Armin and others. But it's just been terrific to have us out in
Great
the
job.
community. Yes.
Thank you all. I also want to thank the ad hoc committee for organizing this event, and our ex officio student members for helping out, but also Dr. Armin, who not only did a phenomenal job with the panel, but she actually was the project manager for this event and our previous events as well.
Yes.
And she made the entire project a success from the beginning of the planning until the actual day of the event, and also facilitating the panel. So
May we applaud her?
we're lucky to have her.
Oh my goodness, I was just gonna say, I'm gonna have to get up out of here because you all are embarrassing me and I'm gonna turn bright red. No, not at all. It's the honor is all ours, and I really wanna also thank Susie. It takes a whole village, and you all are the reason why we do this. And I do wanna mention two things. My dad was there, and he was very happy to meet you all, and he also in particular wanted to let Angelina know that you spoke so eloquently and that you have a really bright future ahead of you. And he wanted me to let you know about that. And he's the biggest feminist in the room. So I also just want to mention, Glendale Arts mentioned to us after how much they appreciated the partnership. And I think that's a very strong part of this commission in particular, the way that you all have really brought in the community consistently. And like I said, that takes a whole collective of people. So thank you all very, very much, really. It's an honor.
Thank you. And now I'll say next item, please.
All right. Next item is Commission on the Status of Women and staff comments.
Okay, would you like to start?
I could. I have a few things. The 39th Annual Women of the Year Awards, Women Who Advocate for Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion, was held on March 18th, 2024. The event was co-hosted by the LA County Board of Supervisors and the LA County Commission on the Status of Women. I had the honor and pleasure of attending that event with Mayor Asatrian. And I also attended another event in March, the Greater Downtown Glendale Association event for International Women's Day at the Glenmark Hotel. Both events highlighted and elevated women leaders in our communities in both Glendale and Greater Los Angeles. Also, I'm happy to report that many organizations have been reaching out to my office and to commission staff to make presentations on the new report on the status of women and girls in Glendale. And so we've made several presentations in the past months, and these include the Glendale Unified School Board of Education meeting. We made a presentation there. We made one at the Seroptimist International of Glendale at their luncheon, and also the Religious Leaders Association of Glendale. And just this weekend, we were at the American Association of University Women, and we made the presentation there as well, and it was well received. if any organization would like us to come and make our presentations, please contact my office or Dr. Arman, and we will be glad to set up a presentation for your organization. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I will just add, as Chair Lambelat has said at our previous meeting, we would be happy if any of you all commissioners would like to come along with us. Though that's an open invitation, and we will continue to send you all updates as organizations reach out to us. And we encourage everyone to reach out to organizations, because the more they know that this is available for us to give presentations, we will be out there. So no problem.
And it's wonderful to attend, and as far as the commissioners, you can participate as much or as little as you want. And in going through the slides and commenting. And I know it's the end of the school year, but if perhaps start of next year, we could consider doing presentations at your schools. That would be terrific, or clubs at your schools.
We also could help you all give presentations at your school. So just so you
Exactly.
know, we'd be happy to help make that happen.
I don't know if you receive email from Armenian Relief Society for inviting in. Can we mention that, or?
We'd love to come. Let us know when and where, and we'll see if we're able to
Yes,
make that
it's on
presentation.
May 20th, as we send an email,
Right.
Yes, I can provide context on that.
okay,
Executive board.
board meeting.
Oh,
Yeah.
that
That
meeting,
one,
yes. I will be in attendance with Chair Lambelat at that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, any other report? Then I would like to mention that at the last CSW meeting, we asked City Council, recommended to City Council that the City of Glendale sign the California Equal Pay Pledge. And very happy to say that on February 27th, the council did approve that and agree to sign it. And if you haven't seen that meeting or weren't present at that meeting, the discussion is very interesting and worth going back and watching. In particular, as part of the process of signing the Equal Pay Pledge, the council also allocated $35,000 for the engagement of a specialized consultant to conduct a comprehensive gender pay analysis and to thoroughly review our hiring and promotional practices. And this is really terrific, that staff collaborate with the Glendale Commission on the Status of Women in the review and preparation of the recommendations related to the California Equal Pay Pledge. Obviously within the confines of HIPAA and all of that. So we would not obviously be involved in actual personnel decisions or be aware of information, but on sort of more of a macro view, the motion included us in that way, which we thank Mayor Satrian for. Anything else? Any other reports, comments? Then I'm looking for a motion of adjournment.
I motion to adjourn.
The meeting is adjourned at 5:15 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you.